Section 25 of The Extermination of the American Bison. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Maria Casper. The Extermination of the American Bison by William T. Hornaday. Part 2, Chapter 5. Completeness of the Extermination. May 1st, 1889. Although the existence of a few widely scattered individuals enables us to say that the bison is not yet absolutely extinct in the wild state, there is no reason to hope that a single wild and unprotected individual will remain alive 10 years hence. The nearer the species approaches to complete extermination, the more eagerly are the wretched fugitives pursued to the death wherever found. Western hunters are striving for the honor of killing the last buffalo, which, it is to be noted, has already been slain about a score of times by that number of hunters. The buffaloes still alive in a wild state are so very few and have been so carefully marked down by hunters, it is possible to make a very close estimate of the total number remaining. In this enumeration, the small herd in the Yellowstone National Park is classed with other herds in captivity and under protection, for the reason that had it not been for the protection afforded by the law and the officers of the park, not one of these buffaloes would be living today. Were the restrictions of the law removed now, every one of those animals would be killed within 3 months. Their heads alone are worth from $25 to $50 each to taxidermists, and for this reason every buffalo is a prize worth the hunter's winning. Had it not been for stringent laws and a rigid enforcement of them by Captain Harris, the last of the park buffaloes would have been shot years ago by Vic Smith, the Ray brothers, and other hunters, of whom there is always an able contingent around the park. In the United States, the death of a buffalo is now such an event that it is immediately chronicled by the Associated Press and telegraphed all over the country. By reason of this, and from information already in hand, we are able to arrive at a very fair understanding of the present condition of the species in the wild state. In December, 1886, the Smithsonian expedition left about 15 buffaloes alive in the badlands of the Missouri-Yellowstone Divide at the head of Big Porcupine Creek. In 1887, 3 of these were killed by cowboys, and in 1888, 2 more. The last death recorded being that of an old bull killed near Billings. There are probably 8 or 10 stragglers still remaining in that region, hiding in the wildest and most broken tracts of the badlands, as far as possible from the cattle ranches, and where even cowboys seldom go save on a roundup. From the fact that no other buffaloes, at least so far as can be learned, have been killed in Montana during the last 2 years, I am convinced that the bunch referred to are the last representatives of the species remaining in Montana. In the spring of 1886, Mr. B.C. Winston, while on a hunting trip about 75 miles west of Grand Rapids, Dakota, saw 7 buffaloes, 5 adult animals and 2 calves, of which he killed 1, a large bull, and caught a calf alive. On September 11, 1888, a solitary bull was killed 3 miles from the town of Oaks in Dickey County. There are still 3 individuals in the unsettled country lying between that point and the Missouri, which are undoubtedly the only wild representatives of the race east of the Missouri River. On April 28, 1887, Dr. William Stevenson of the United States Army wrote me as follows from Pilot Butte, about 30 miles north of Rock Springs, Wyoming. There are undoubtedly buffalo within 50 or 60 miles of here, 2 having been killed out of a band of 18 some 10 days since by cowboys, and another band of 4 being seen near there. I hear from cattlemen of their being seen every year north and northeast of here. This band was seen once in 1888. In February 1889, Hon. Joseph M. Carey, member of Congress from Wyoming, received a letter informing him that this band of buffaloes, consisting of 26 head, had been seen grazing in the Red Desert of Wyoming, and that the Indians were preparing to attack it. At Judge Carey's request, the Indian Bureau issued orders which it hoped would prevent the slaughter. So, until further developments, we have the pleasure of recording the presence of 26 wild buffaloes in southern Wyoming. There are no buffaloes whatever in the vicinity of the Yellowstone Park, either in Wyoming, Montana, or Idaho, save what wander out of that reservation, and when any do, they are speedily killed. There is a rumor that there are 10 or 12 mountain buffaloes still on foot in Colorado, in a region called Lost Park, and while it lacks confirmation, we gladly accept it as a fact. In 1888, Mr. C.B. Corey of Boston saw in Denver, Colorado, 8 fresh buffalo skins, which it was said had come from the region named above. In 1885, there was a herd of about 40 mountain buffalo near South Park, and although some of the number may still survive, the indications are that the total number of wild buffaloes in Colorado does not exceed 20 individuals. In Texas, a miserable remnant of the great southern herd still remains in the Panhandle country between the 2 forks of the Canadian River. In 1886, about 200 head survived, which number by the summer of 1887 had been reduced to 100 or less. In the hunting season of 1887-88, a ranchman named Lee Howard fitted out and led a strong party into the haunts of the survivors and killed 52 of them. In May 1888, Mr. C.J. Jones again visited this region for the purpose of capturing buffaloes alive. His party found, from first to last, 37 buffaloes, of which they captured 18 head, 11 adult cows and 7 calves, the greatest feat ever accomplished in buffalo hunting. It is highly probable that Mr. Jones and his men saw about all the buffaloes now living in the Panhandle country, and it therefore seems quite certain that not over 25 individuals remain. These are so few, so remote, and so difficult to reach, it is to be hoped no one will consider them worth going after, and that they will be left to take care of themselves. It is greatly to be regretted that the State of Texas does not feel disposed to make a special effort for their protection and preservation. In regard to the existence of wild buffaloes in the British possessions, the statements of different authorities are at variance, by far the larger number holding the opinion that there are in all the Northwest Territory only a few almost solitary stragglers. But there is still good reason for the hope, and also the belief, that there still remain in Athabasca, between the Athabasca and Peace Rivers, at least a few hundred wood buffalo. In a very interesting and well-considered article in the London Field of November 10, 1888, Mr. Miller Christie quotes all of the available positive evidence bearing on this point, and I gladly avail myself of the opportunity to reproduce it here. The Honorable Dr. Schultz, in the recent debate on the Mackenzie River Basin in the Canadian Senate, quoted Senator Hardisty of Edmonton, of the Hudson's Bay Company, to the effect that the wood buffalo still existed in the region in question. It was, he said, difficult to estimate how many, but probably 500 to 600 still remain in scattered bands. There had been no appreciable difference in their numbers, he thought, during the last 15 years, as they could not be hunted on horseback on account of the wooded character of the country, and were therefore very little molested. They are larger than the buffalo of the Great Plains, weighing at least 150 pounds more. They are also coarser haired and straighter horned. The doctor also quoted Mr. Frank Oliver, of Edmonton, to the effect that the wood buffalo still exists in small numbers between the Lower Peace and Great Slave rivers, extending westward from the latter to the Salt River in latitude 60 degrees, and also between the Peace and Athabasca rivers. He states that they are larger than the prairie buffalo, and their fur is darker, but practically they are the same animal. Some buffalo meat is brought in every winter to the Hudson's Bay Company's posts nearest the buffalo ranges. Dr. Schultz further stated that he had received the following testimony from Mr. Donald Ross of Edmonton. The wood buffalo still exists in the localities named. About 1870 one was killed as far west on Peace River as Port Dunvegan. They are quite different from the prairie buffalo, being nearly double the size, as they will dress fully 700 pounds. It will be apparent to most observers, I think, that Mr. Ross's statement in regard to the size of the wood buffalo is a random shot. In a private letter to the writer, under date of October 22, 1887, Mr. Harrison S. Young, of the Hudson's Bay Company's post at Edmonton, writes as follows: "The buffalo are not yet extinct in the Northwest. There are still some stray ones on the prairies away to the south of this, but they must be very few. I am unable to find anyone who has personal knowledge of the killing of one during the last 2 years, though I have, since the receipt of your letter, questioned a good many half-breeds on the subject. In our district of Athabasca, along the Salt River, there are still a few wood buffalo killed every year, but they are fast diminishing in numbers, and are also becoming very shy." In his Manitoba and the Great Northwest, Professor John McCune has this to say regarding the presence of the wood buffalo in the region referred to: "The wood buffalo, when I was on the Peace River in 1875, were confined to the country lying between the Athabasca and Peace Rivers, north of latitude 57 degrees 30 minutes, or chiefly in the Birch Hills. They were also said to be in some abundance on the Salt and Hay Rivers, running into the Slave River, north of Peace River. The herds 13 years ago, now 19, were supposed to number about 1,000 all told. I believe many still exist, as the Indians of that region eat fish, which are much easier procured than either buffalo or moose, and the country is much too difficult for white men." All this evidence, when carefully considered, resolves itself into simply this, and no more: the only evidence in favor of the existence of any live buffaloes between the Athabasca and Peace Rivers is in the form of very old rumors, most of them nearly 15 years old, time enough for the Indians to have procured firearms in abundance and killed all those buffaloes 2 or 3 times over. Mr. Miller Christie takes the mean of the estimates, and assumes that there are now about 550 buffaloes in the region named. If we are to believe in the existence there of any stragglers, his estimate is a fair one, and we will gladly accept it. The total is therefore as follows: Number of American bison running wild and unprotected on January 1st, 1889. In the Panhandle of Texas, 25. In Colorado, 20. In southern Wyoming, 26. In the Musselshell Country, Montana, 10. In western Dakota, 4. Total number in the United States, 85. In Athabasca Northwest Territory, estimated 550. Total in all of North America, 635. Add to the above the total number already recorded in captivity 256, and those under government protection in the Yellowstone Park, 200, and the whole number of individuals of Bison americanus now living is 1,091. From this time it is probable that many rumors of the sudden appearance of herds of buffaloes will become current. Already there have been 3 or 4 that almost deserve special mention. The first appeared in March, 1887, when various Western newspapers published a circumstantial account of how a herd of about 300 buffaloes swam the Missouri River about 10 miles above Bismarck, near the town of Painted Woods, and ran on in a southwesterly direction. A letter of inquiry, addressed to Mr. S.A. Peterson, postmaster at Painted Woods, elicited the following reply: "The whole rumor is false and without any foundation. I saw it first in the newspaper, where I believe it originated." In these days of railroads and numberless hunting parties, there is not the remotest possibility of there being anywhere in the United States a herd of 100 or even 50 buffaloes which has escaped observation. Of the 85 head still existing in a wild state, it may safely be predicted that not even one will remain alive 5 years hence. A buffalo is now so great a prize, and by the ignorant it is considered so great an honor to kill one, that extraordinary exertions will be made to find and shoot down without mercy the last buffalo. There is no possible chance for the race to be perpetuated in a wild state, and in a few years more hardly a bone will remain above ground to mark the existence of the most prolific mammalian species that ever existed, so far as we know. End of Section 25.